YouTube. But it looks like it's gonna work.
Yay! Good karma of the pink.
Exactly.
Minamahal, minamahal kita. Pagsinta ay tuwing mag-iiba.
Good side.
The bad side, so print on the good side.
I thought it was the other way around.
Sinta, bawat kilos ko'y pag-alala. Minamahal, minamahal kita. At nasa iyo ang tanging pag-asa. Asahan mong dalangin ko tuwing na minamahal, minamahal kita.
Did you know that nearly 50 million Americans
Abe Lagrimas. Minamahal, minamahal kita. Pagsinta ay di mag-iiba. Hindi mo pa nadarama sinta. Ang bawat kilos ko'y pangarap ka. Minamahal, minamahal kita. At nasa iyo ang tanging pag-asa. Asahan mo dalangin ko tuwing na minamahal, minamahal kita. Sa-da-da-da-da-di, minamahal.
Wow, beautiful.
Dude. It's so
That's
weird
really
to watch yourself, but okay.
You're not used to watching yourself yet?
I don't think we'll ever get used to that. Are you, Cathy? Oh gosh.
Well, I guess I am, because hold on, let me just do something. We're going to hear us.
Are you, Cathy? Oh gosh.
Volume. Okay, I'm ready here. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is my guest, Charmaine Clamor. And I pronounced your last name right?
Quite right. Clamor, yes. Yes, you got it. Like
Okay.
amor, clamor.
So, yeah, I think I'm used to it because I do it so much. I watch what's happening, and there's so much. People are taking live movies, and then you look at your own videos, you're trying to make videos, you're trying to make recordings. It's a lot of stuff. It keeps your mind really busy, and you also have to have, a removed point of view, like you're watching somebody else, because you can really, go down that rabbit hole quickly about, analyzing yourself and, over analyzing yourself.
I could not agree more. I'm still trying to learn that, but I'm slowly learning. Um, but I did use a lot of my videos to learn how to become better,
Yeah,
grow as a singer, grow as a performer. Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's really valuable, really valuable. Um, yeah, I'm always working personally on trying not to care about perfection. I just
Mhm.
I want to be in the moment, and if I have a imperfection, that's okay. I mean, I love a lot of singers with imperfections. Tom Waits, I love Tom Waits. I mean, I don't know if he's ever listened analytically to himself, but I mean, it's so great.
Yeah. I think that's the way, I think that's the way it's supposed to be. So that, because I realized in the beginning, over analyzing myself, it really can stunt your growth because you get so fearful of making a mistake and opinions of others, just trying to, the Buddhist way of just arriving at your goal, whether you get negative or positive feedback from whomever the audience at that time. That was one of the hardest lessons for me when I was younger. Not that I'm so old now, but just that I was a little bit younger. That was one of the hardest things for me to learn, just to look at the goal and not to worry about that, like you said, the noise and distractions.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, speaking of rabbit holes, I mean, that's like, you know, there's deep rabbit holes around that. And you don't necessarily think that you're even doing that, you know, caring or thinking or analyzing or being aware. And it takes a lot of personal growth to actually realize that you're even possibly doing that. And then once you realize, you can remove yourself. I mean, I've found that with myself and also for students. You know, I remember one time my voice teacher said, "Stop analyzing yourself." And I said, "I'm not analyzing myself." and and he said, "Yeah, you are." And then I thought about it, and I was like, "Oh God, I am. I'm analyzing myself while I'm singing. That's not good. That's why I'm part of why I'm suffering singing, because I'm analyzing it. You know, no."
Thank
That's
you for
not what
sharing
it's
that,
supposed to
Kathy.
do.
Yeah, I really like this discussion because it's so common.
Yeah.
It's what I hear also from musical friends, colleagues. This is what we do. And some of those people, I think, who are and I was near. I mean, I definitely was a victim of this. You just stop singing because you're so scared to of the perfectionism, of lacking of perfectionism, over analyzing the self. Um, I think it's for me personally, it's a lifetime commitment to that, definitely. In every aspect, not just in music, but everything. My goodness, are we? Yeah, just loving the self. It's a lifetime commitment, just to be kind to the self and musically and just in every aspect of our life. That's what I'm finding.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's being present, and being present means that it's not, I like this image of not inflow, but outflow. And
Mm.
inflow is more like analytical, right? What me, what am I doing? uh, she's looking at me, all kinds of inflow. But when you're present and you're outflowing, that really is a much healthier feeling and position to be in. You know, then you're more of a active human being in a community, that can be present and helpful and interested. I remember I had a very rich uncle who said his secret to relationships was listening to other people and asking
Uh,
about their lives. He didn't go on and on about his own life. Like you would sit with him and he'd ask you all about you. And it was, so I thought that was really interesting.
that is definitely it. I I think I'm yeah, listening more and talking less.
Yeah,
I think it's a good it's a good motto in life.
yeah,
Yeah. But at the same time, not being afraid of taking space when you have to say something or when you need to share something from your heart.
yeah,
Yeah, I think on the other side of the coin is that also not being able or not being free in taking space can also happen. And then there's that as well. But I do love listening to stories. My mom is in her 80s now, and so I've been recording our conversation just so I can remember because we lost our father 3 years ago, and I wish I had recorded my father. But it's really, I'm grateful for these moments of listening to a lot of people, whether young or old. Yeah, I love that, Kathy. Yeah, that's so great that you brought that up.
yeah, yeah. I love listening too. I like opening the door for elders to feel like they're important in the conversation, and that they have something to say. I like that. I think it's great. Um, I've been like that for a long time. Just a funny aside on that. I did that, for so many years that sometimes older men, like, in their 80s or something, would think they would think that I was open for them to come on to me because I was, there and like holding the space for communication.
You're
Oh,
gonna hold up the ring.
pretty funny.
Oh, that's adorable. Oh.
I know, that's kind of cute. My friend Roland Escarons is here. He said he loves your camera presence and loves your singing voice. And he also says, but isn't some sort of self-analysis good as a control on your self-compliancy? Yeah, well, it's like huge, right? The area is huge. We're just talking about this one little aspect of it. But yeah, I mean, if you're not going to look at yourself, you might as well sleep the day away. You know, I mean, you have to, well, you don't have to, but I mean, people who observe themselves and are honest with themselves I always thought, I can solve anything if I can confront something and take responsibility.
Mhm.
I can solve anything. But there's a lot of people who can't do one or both of those. Because
Yes,
looking at something can be super tough, right? Like
that's true.
something of yourself. Like I had a
No,
friend who would
it's
say,
really it's true.
"Yeah,
Whether you're an artist or you're just doing something, every aspect of the whole landscape of life
yeah,
that can be challenging, and that's the life. Like I said, like a lifetime goal.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think the ultimate goal is to look at ourselves and be somewhat okay with where we're at. I think that would be for me that would be heaven for me. So I'm working towards that. Well, okay, that's okay. Um, yeah.
yeah." I was just reading about that. I'm trying to remember which book. I keep, I have a little book library that I go through, that I read maybe a few chapters and then whatever, I go on to the next book. But I've been reading Wild Mind, Wild Earth,
Mhm.
and by David Hinton. Anyway, he's a really elegant writer, and he's talking about that we're in our sixth extinction on this planet, and that we're either going to go down or we're going to save it. And he talks about everything and everyone being connected to the cosmos. So it's not like we're separate or we have a house that's separate. No, it's everything. We're the earth, I'm you, just everything. I'm the cosmos, so it's when I read that, I felt a relief, you know.
Mm. That's so great. I totally, I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
At least I'd like to think that the highest part of ourselves, kind of like the word namaste,
yeah,
being connected. So, um, when I'm very well lately because of the fires, you're so deep into the issue or the challenge of the moment, and then when you step back, oh right, that's Los Angeles, and you step back because of that connection to the universe, and somehow we get a larger perspective.
yeah.
I love what we're discussing here, Kathy.
Yeah, these are just hangs. I mean, of course, it's focused on you because you're my guest, but it's yeah, we can talk about absolutely anything. And normally, I do like to get people's perspectives. That's what I like,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we did not plan on wearing pink. We came on and we were like, oh my God. So
It
I
was
guess
a silent memo.
Yeah, so I guess we're on the same page anyway, with a lot. It's pretty funny. Yeah, so well, we met many years ago, and I knew you as a singer, but I didn't really realize that you have a really interesting, varied career. So tell our listeners about your career and how, the crossover and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I met you. I think you used to have a vocal jam session at a club
It was
in Studio
Sportsman's
City,
Lodge.
Weapons Lodge,
Yeah, it was
and
my
I
jam
attended
session
many of your
there.
workshops before.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
at your home or some other hosts. So yeah, and I also am a physical therapist and work with the body and energy now. I started with regular physical therapy, and I specialize in women's health, and I work with women who've had trauma. So I evolve into energy work. Um, I have my own practice, and but I consult for a company, and they have a location in Encino, in West LA. Because I got really lonely during the pandemic, just being by myself. So I wanted to have some collegial relationship and learn from other people. So I have that, and I also uh, teach at Cal State Northridge, where I graduated physical therapy from. So now it's a doctorate program. So I teach students. And I never thought that I would be that way, a faculty or professor, because I always think I'm still in my 20s, forever 20. And then 2 years ago, the nonprofit organization or community that I co-founded, we got a grant from the Department of Mental Health to offer pelvic health education to children and adults of LA County. So we were the first one to do that because it's so important because we're seeing them in the clinic having so many issues and cannot live their life. People are leaking urine or other bowel and bladder issue or cannot leave their home and they get depressed. So we figured, let's get them when they're young. And we went into preschool and elementary school and high school. So I try to balance this work with music, Kathy, and I consider myself very lucky that I can do all these things like you do, like you do. You balance so many things, um, and also we at one point we were organizing Filipino American Jazz Festival at the Catalina Jazz Club. It's a home to a lot of us jazz singers for 10 years. And we did that for 10 years, and we may do it again, maybe next year or so. But we just took a break, a long break. So those are some of the things I do.
And speaking of
A
that,
lot of stuff.
somehow I got involved with co-creating this Tokyo, Manila, Los Angeles Jazz Summit on June 1st at Catalina's. And I don't know how it came about. It was probably through Alvin. Or
Probably.
I had interviewed Charito,
Mm.
and I know she had started it in Tokyo. And so, anyway, June 1st at Catalina's, Charmaine and I are going to be part of the Tokyo, Manila, Los Angeles Jazz Summit. And yeah, so we're also working on the Saturday right before, because it's a Sunday, and the Saturday before, like a kind of a brunch seminar workshop, kind of Q&A, and so we're working on that, and yeah, it's going to be really nice. It's going to be a small number of featured singers and really wonderful two bands that are going to mix and match. And also, are you familiar with Jexa?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so we're going to have Jexa students outside in the patio as people are coming in.
Oh my goodness.
They're going to play for, half hour or so.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember, yeah, we also featured Chorito in one of our jazz festivals. We used to do it every year, Kathy, um, at the jazz club and working on only sponsorship and later on ticket sales. It got really challenging, but it was fun and really beautiful to have all these Filipino American jazz artists or from all over the world,
Yeah.
including Japan, Chorito, Philippines. Of course, Mon, we first featured him here when he wasn't very well known. Now he's like this really beautiful, well-known jazz singer in LA. We featured him too. Alvin Reyes, whom you know, I mean, I competed at our talent search. It was really cool for 10 years. We would have the Filipino community come and be part of it. It's something that they wait for every year around Christmas. And we just kind of like, okay, we did our 10-year. We're going to, have a little pause.
Yeah.
And we got back. I think we approached you for a venue at one point at Conservatory, no? I think we approached you and we brought it back to I think in 2021 and then we took another break. It's like it's all you know, um yeah, it depends on the energy of the board. But the Jazzville board is still very committed to it, but we're just doing different things right now.
Well, that's great. It's great, and I mean, my experience with Filipino musicians is that they love it and they've grown up with it much more than Americans. And it's really amazing. I mean, when I was introduced to Mon's family, I was totally blown away. He and his children, I mean, so amazing, full of love and great music, great musicians. So it's pretty nice. Hi, Taylor. Yeah. So, yeah, well, hopefully we can, I mean, it's funny that this jazz summit is coming now in this year when you're not actually doing it this year or until later.
Yeah, which is great. I think it's great. Because then it's not just coming from one source. I think
Yeah,
that's what we need.
yeah,
More people trying to put things together so it doesn't stop. I think that's what we need.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I'm gonna go look for, I'm gonna show you what like a little more music. Um, so, there's this one, Dahil Sayo, or
Mhm. Sure. Let's see. Which one would be a
or
better
maybe I
option?
go in here, or
Let's go down. Maybe. Let's see.
Imagine.
Oh, that might be nice. Sure. Sure. Why not?
Okay.
That would be nice. This
Yeah.
is the one with
声音
Lawrence Hopgood arrangement of Imagine, which
Oh,
we
okay.
did.
Who's this on piano?
It's Lawrence Hopgood.
Oh, okay.
And you must know Gary Wicks, of course. He's
Yep,
local.
I
And
do.
again, Filipino-American Abe Lagrimas.
Abe, talented Abe.
Talented Abe.
There's no heaven.
And we have on the side there a beautiful half Filipina singer, jazz singer from, and she graduated from USC, I believe, Angela Vicente. I don't know if you met her.
I have not.
She was helping me that evening as well.
Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us and the world will be as one. Will be as one. imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. Ooh, you may say I'm a dreamer. But I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us in the world will live as one.
Oh, that was beautiful. You should do that at the summit.
Oh yeah, sure. I would love that. Oh,
Really beautiful.
I think we need something like this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully June will June will be better. I hope. Oh my God.
Oh goodness.
Oh God. Oh boy.
Oh
Um,
goodness.
let's see. Christine Friale has joined. I don't know if you
Yeah,
know
hi,
her.
Christine.
Tanya
Oh,
Grubbs. Hi, Tanya. Taylor, my friend Taylor Hatch. He would like to know what sort of ways have you been expanding your vocal technique, and what fundamentals do you enjoy revisiting?
for vocal technique. That's a great. I took some vocal lessons at CSUN at Cal
Hmm.
State Northridge. Well, on the side, minor, and some piano. So I did some vocal training. I also did some, but not really training, but I did some one-on-one session with Michelle Weir, whom I'm sure you know, of course.
Sure.
That's more the vocal jazz. But as far as vocal technique, I'm following what they call C complete training, which is what they do with a lot of the musical training. Because at one point I was training for a musical, so to put it up front instead of back. So I was very conscious of that and trying to put it forward, the mixed voice and the high voice and the low voice. Um, And then now I'm at a point where I just want to sing freely. You learn the technique, and I'm hoping that I can just sing freely throughout the ranges of the voice and using the whole body to emit, the sound. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, and I think that body work is crucial to it because in the problems that singers generally have, there's tension in various areas, and it doesn't have to be presently created. It can be old tension, as we were speaking about before, you know, under your consciousness, from whenever, like you were saying, how people have trauma and they incorporate it into their bodies and then operate from there. And so, you could have a great voice, but you could also have a lot of tension holding that voice back. So, yeah, freedom in the body is super important for
It's
voice
so
technique. Yeah.
great. It's just so great to be able to sing this way because at one point I was struggling with a lot of vocal tension. Like you said, when I was oh Kathy, I did it all. You know, here in LA, I did when we first came from the Philippines because I grew up in the Philippines and migrated here in the 80s. And I was doing everything from backup singing. The Filipino celebrities from the Philippines will come here, and I'll be one of the backup vocals, and I would back up like some artists in mainstream. I did everything from rock to bat mitzvah, and then, and really and those kind of outdoor festivals where the guitarists are so much louder than the vocalists. I love you guitarists, but sometimes they do happen. And so you, so you bust your vocals, and I had that for some time, and I said, I really have to do this right. So I started, getting some vocal technique because I was afraid I was not going to be able to sing anymore. And so I learned how to sing with, properly from different teachers actually. I've had a lot of vocal teachers from we have a lot in town, but I think what really resonate with me were the complete vocal technique, which just makes it kind of just easier to sing a lot, and what they call a vocal yoga technique, which I love, using the body, as you were saying, Kathy, to move and sing.
Yeah, there's a person I've known for many years who has vocal yoga, and she has a book too. Although the book that I have from her is old, but Heather Lyle, she's in town.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I took a lesson or two from her. She
yeah.
lives far, that's why I stopped. But she was great.
I
So we
just
know
saw
this.
her the other night, but I didn't get a chance to say hi, but I saw her. She was sitting several rows ahead of me my friend invited me to see The Wiz, the movie, and
Yes.
sitting there, and I'm like, that's Heather Lyle. It's so far away, but it was so packed, and the movie was starting, and I didn't get over to see her, but yeah, but Heather, and I saved that book because it's interesting. I mean, it's all
Yes.
interesting, right? The vocal yoga and
I
everything.
read her book too and took a couple of lessons from her. I haven't seen her in a long time. Oh my goodness. That was more than 10
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
And her husband was really cool, Michael Lyle. He was a musician
Oh,
also, and very cool guy. Yeah, that's how I met her, I think. Let's see. Okay, Taylor, what else are you asking? Have you found your experiences with physical therapy to be helpful when it comes to improving vocal flexibility?
oh my gosh. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kathy and I were talking about body work before we went live. So I offer that as well. And since I specialize in pelvic health for women and men now and children, so I was telling Kathy that I find that I would get sometimes singers to come to my practice because um, the relationship of the pelvic floor and the TMJ, when the pelvic floor muscles are tight, it's so common that the muscles of our jaw are so tight as well because they were connected when we were little fetuses and babies. Those are the same embryological tissue. And so I would get some singers to come to work on that, and then we would work on the pelvic floor as well, and then vice versa. So when I become so more fully aware of what the body is, the tensions that we hold, the tensions that we hold because of emotions and energy, I've learned. I would like to think that I'm learning how to sing more freely because I used to be a lot more fear in my body from we were discussing earlier from making a mistake or being criticized by the jazz critics or your audience afterwards, all the comments. And so I would hold here and thinking, oh my, maybe if I hold this, it'll be much better. But actually, that was just hurting really my vocal cords and my muscles. And but I think the learning the technique was a great start. But working for me personally on relaxing the body and the mind, I think we're more, I think we're more effective for me in really singing more freely than ever.
Yeah.
What do you think,
Yeah.
Kathy, for you?
Yeah. Well, there have been several things that have come up over the years as far as body tension affecting singing. And I remember there was a period of time where I realized that my upper body was locked when I was singing. And so I really made, you know, made it a focus to actually get this loose when I was singing, which really changed my singing a lot. And of course, there's so much. There's a man named McCloskey who wrote a book on, he wrote this like 40 years ago on the body regarding singing. And, you know, he gives all these exercises of massaging the face, you know, all the way around everything, you know. And of course, like you're saying, that spot between where the jaw drops open, I mean
Yeah.
that those muscles are pretty active in most people probably at various times. And then the tongue muscle, right? The tongue
Oh,
muscle
yeah.
is hugely involved and really like when you hear a really great singer, like for instance, Cecile McLaurin Salvant. I mean, I just love listening to her. And
Me
she's
too.
just, yeah. And she's just, you know, there's no tension here. There's no, I mean, yes, of course you're using the tongue when you're pronouncing words, but you're not using the tongue to create sound. You know, it's an open vessel and, you know, it's a vessel. And that's what the vocal instrument, how it's set up, right? It's this open vessel, and then you have to get used to this. The thing about the voice is that it's a really challenging instrument. You know, you have to have faith that the sensation and sound that is the correct way is is okay. You have to have faith because it doesn't necessarily sound great to you, you know, when you're singing. It's kind of a you're inside the instrument. It's like being inside the flute and knowing that the sound is good, you know. It's kind of like that. It's really I think it's a really challenging instrument, the voice, you know. Not
I
to
agree.
mention, you know, not to mention we have words and lyrics and you know all that kind of stuff too. I mean, wow, it's a lot to think about.
I agree. And then, yeah, because there's not something that you can tune on on a keyboard or the guitar. It's the mind and then the vocal cords coming together.
Yeah,
And sometimes I would work on myself and singers opening the chest a lot. I would do some mobilization of thoracic spine up here, and it just feels so good. And then here, a lot of tension on the upper cervical spine. I work on that, or I offer craniosacral to my singer clients, and I get it myself. I noticed that it helps a lot with the tension that Kathy was pointing on, pointing at. That helps so much. And people with Team J will do some tongue work. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, tongue work. Do I get all of this uh, with myself? Again, it's a lifetime lesson for me, and just getting better each day is, my goal. Yeah. But it
yeah,
definitely helps a lot knowing the body and the anatomy really
yeah,
well for
yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it's a little hard, it's a little challenging to get in touch with my body. First of all, I'm just very airy, you know. And I have a lot of things to work on and concentrate on that interest me. So it to stop and either do something like meditation or actual, take some time and do some body work. It's challenging for me, because I would much rather get into whatever it is that's going on, because there's always a lot going on. Um,
You're very busy, Kathy. You've always been like that. You've never stopped, which is amazing. You're always are, I see you just building community. You're not really a community organizer. You're more like a community builder. And that's what we need, especially in jazz. Um,
yeah, and
yeah.
it's continuing on. Like this week, I spoke, one person I spoke with lost her house in the Altadena fires. Her son is 15 years old and he needs a saxophone. So that's how I got connected with her because I'm the point person for California Jazz Foundation for instruments being donated and
Okay.
also people who need instruments, right?
Okay.
So I spoke with her, and but we had the great conversation. Wow, I was very impressed with how unvictim-like she was.
Hmm.
She was really clear-headed. She had had a business that also suffered. Her whole family, father, sister, siblings, herself, all lived in Altadena, all lost their homes.
Right.
Um, and she's very involved with the community there. They're all working together to, like, if one kind of makes headway with an insurance, then they share that information. It's really group. I mean, FEMA is really difficult, actually. It's not like super easy at all. Anyway, so I felt that I want to get involved with her. There's also a music place, really interesting, in San Pedro, and he also has instruments that have been donated that he needs some people to come and look at them and say what's good, what's need, what work is needed, and he's a small organization, very small. Himself, he's like the main part, and then there's two volunteers. How can you turn that down? So I got a drummer to go over there and, to look at his 5 drum sets and to,
Wow.
qualify what they are, what they need, so he can operate from there on. So there's so many things to do, right?
Oh, this is fantastic. This is really fantastic work. And I think this is what we realized when the fire happened in LA, that we have we we do care for one another. We do
Yeah,
take care of each
yeah,
other.
we do.
And the story that you mentioned reminded me of a Filipino American musician whom I know, Alma Cielo, who's also her home also got destroyed by the fire in Altadena. I mean, talking about how she was encouraging so many people of the way she approached, losing her home. And she's also Filipino American and a musician. Um, it just reminded me of her. And I think we know Quinn also
Yeah,
lost his home. You probably
yes.
know. And we do have one more jazz musician who lost his home in Altadena. Probably a lot. I'm sure there's a lot.
Oh yeah,
So.
Joel Taylor lived there. He lost everything. He was even in Cambodia when the fire took his house. Yeah, so there's a club over in Pasadena, in the 1881, that
Oh,
has some great jazz, and the owner lost her house.
mm,
Um, yeah, there's so many people. It's just, I mean, Benny Maupin lost everything. John Clayton, his daughter,
Right.
you
That's right,
know,
John.
a lot of, yeah. And, and then there's, politics that I want to get involved with too, but, there's only so much time you have. And so, you just have to decide what is in front of you. What do you want to put effort and time into, because you also have to live your life, right? You have to do
It's
your
true.
practice, right? Your practice, singing, working on whatever, students, producing, the regular life stuff too. But it's interesting moment in history. I mean, we're never going to
It is an
forget.
interesting moment, especially in LA, because we do just have the wildfire, and
Yeah.
then we have, you know, um, a lot of changes in our government, and how do we balance this social justice work, activism with our life, especially those who lost everything, during the fire. It's a very curious time in our city, and I think that's why art is so important right now. All the art that is coming out, not just
Yeah,
music,
I agree.
important.
Yeah, it's really important. I keep hearing quotes from people about art being important in moments of strife. And
Mm.
yeah, it's because art it's spiritual and it's intangible. The benefit is intangible. I mean, you may have a beautiful painting on your wall that you look at, but the why it's beautiful is intangible, you know.
Mm.
And so, and of course, music, it can, especially when it's a live performance, it comes and goes, and that's it. It's gone. But it's so giving, and definitely in the last few months, I've been definitely healed from any sadness or anxiousness that I've had by hearing live music. That
Mm.
was good. It was, yeah, it was really amazing. I went to see Richard Bona at the Jazz Bakery, the bass player, and he's a
Yes,
singer
of course.
bass player, and that totally healed me. Wow, that was just one of the greatest things that I ever heard. So, yeah, um, yeah. I mean, the balance of everything is really interesting. I always talk about this, but I feel like what we're doing by putting art in out is is probably balancing the whole planet off, you know.
Yeah, speaking of art, I almost forgot to share. Um, and diversity, celebrating diversity right now. In 2 weeks, I got involved in a project called Gumamela, which is a flower in the Philippines. And I did not know that the Mexican culture also Mexico has this flower. It's called Gumamela. The closest I can explain is like hibiscus looking. So this is a grant funded project by the San Francisco Arts Council, and we're doing a couple of shows in 2 weeks in Oakland, March 7, and at the Brava Theater, owned by women, on September 9. And we are looking at the intersection or connection of Mexican and Filipino music.
Mm.
So we're doing that in 2 weeks, and I'm so happy to have that right now to work on and sink my teeth into and do that with my colleagues there.
So you also do kind of folk music, right, as well?
That's right. I do. And this is going to be that and some original music as well. We sing in, so the Philippines has many islands and we have so many different languages. They call it dialects, but I think more of them as languages because they're so different. So at this particular show, we will sing in I think three different Filipino languages. But my father was Bisaya, which is in the different part of in Bisaya Island. And so I can kind of speak that, and my mother speaks Ilocano, which is also different language. So I also sing that in other languages from the Philippines. So folk music, we call it original Filipino music, and of course my signature infusing that into this beautiful American art form of jazz. We call it jazz. I call it jazzapino. So yeah, that's what yeah, I do. But of course, I love the old school jazz and blues music, American standards.
I want to hear some of it if we can. Can we? Can we
Sure.
find some of that? Would it be
Are you talking about the Mexican Filipino stuff or the folk
just like
song?
more folk kind of
Oh
stuff?
yeah. Oh, how about that Aawitan Kita with
Okay.
Florante Aguilar?
Avocado.
Okay.
Oh, he's my beautiful musical partner right now. We're working on a project together. And yeah, this is a folk one. Kundiman called Aawitan Kita or I Will Sing for You.
Okay, cool.
Aawitan kita, aawitan kita, ang sarili nating awit ang iyong maririnig. Pakinggan mo, aking mahal, nang madama mong tamis at lambing ng mga tugtuging sadyang atin. Aawitan kita, aawitan kita, bayan kong minamahal, aawitan kita. Aawitan kita, ang sarili nating awit ang iyong maririnig. Pakinggan mo, aking mahal, nang madama mong tamis at lambing ng mga tugtuging sadyang atin. Aawitan kita, aawitan kita, bayan kong minamahal, aawitan kita.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
The birds were nice too.
Additional sound, singing by the birds. Special guest.
Roland, by the way, said, one of the many songs he loves that you do is Mina Mahal Kita from Flipping Out, your early album.
Yeah. So Kathy actually showed that at the beginning of the show. Minamahal Kita is a traditional harana wherein so my mom experienced this where, at night, a suitor will come with a guitar and some friends, and they would sing for the women that this man, the suitor, wants to court, and they would sing outside her window and serenade her. And if the lady liked what she heard, the windows will open, and and the people would be invited in to have some snacks, and Minamahal Kita is one of those. And my friend Richard Icard is also a Filipino American guitarist in Los Angeles. We used to do a lot of gigs together. We arranged that to be more Jazzipino, and this is what we came up with over. It's just like, yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Thanks, Roland. Appreciate that. One of my favorites too. Yeah.
Yeah, he says, you know how important art is in society when you stop and analyze why authoritarian leaders suppress it or elevate it in their own interest. So true.
Mm,
Yeah, that is so true, Roland.
mm.
Let's see. Taylor would like to know what you find about Philippine culture. I never know whether to say Filipino or Philippine or how to
Mm.
spell it. Is it with a PH or is it with an F? Is it everything is okay or what?
Okay. So, uh, I guess a more mainstream is Filipino with an F, or
Okay.
Philippine, like Filipino culture, or Philippine, which is PH, and the more traditional or more patriotic Filipinos would say Philippine culture or Filipino, which with the P. So it depends on how, but it's widely accepted to be Filipino or Philippine culture.
Okay.
Please
Thank you.
correct me if I'm wrong, Filipino Americans who are listening to me, but that's how I perceive it. Yeah.
All right. Well, Taylor would like to know, what do you find about Philippine culture or music that surprises your American audiences?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Oh, this Harana. I think, well, not anymore. It's not, maybe in the beginning, it used to surprise them that we have this beautiful tradition. And I think because I think the Spanish culture has this also, or Italian culture, from what I learned. So that one, and that we also have so many common traits among Mexicans,
Uh-huh.
which we're analyzing with this group project that we're doing. And here's another one. And I don't know if you know this, Kathy, because I know you kind of nerd on history and you love books. That there were some Filipinos in New Orleans
Oh,
where jazz was born. And was in a book that Richie Carino wrote, who's a historian, a Filipino. Um, and the way And sometimes I would share this at a show, like after a show or during spills during a show, and that jazz was shared or spread in the Philippines through the radios from the Navy, from the military. And I thought that's so fascinating. And Americans love hearing that story.
right. Well, that song was definitely had Mexican flavor to it.
Do you feel that way? Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Definitely, right? There's that flavor. And we're noticing with this project that there are certain chord progressions that are similar. So
Yeah.
we're doing that. One of my colleagues, there's an ethnomusicologist from UCLA, so we're kind of intertwining the songs that are like really traditional, original Filipino and Mexican songs, and we're intertwining them together with the same chord progression. So it's kind of exciting. It's a very exciting project.
Yeah, it's beautiful. My first mother-in-law, I mean, from my mother-in-law from my first marriage, was known as the Angel of Mexico. She was a
Oh,
bolero singer. And
wow.
yeah, and she started going on the road when she was like 14 or 15. Beautiful, beautiful sound. And so, yeah, there was a lot of real beautiful things that I heard her do. Of course, she got into more popular music too, but she was mostly a bolero singer. So, yeah, it was really great.
I love
Um,
boleros. Oh my goodness. Do you have that in your repertoire? I do have some that in my repertoire. Do you sing that boleros
Not
as
enough. I have kind of some typical ones. I used to sing Yellow Days. Are you familiar with that song?
no? Oh, I
That
don't
was a really pretty, pretty song.
check that
But
out.
yeah, but no, I do have well, maybe I should do my Japanese song at the summit.
Yes, please do. You singing Japanese? I did not know that. Oh,
A
that's
little bit
great.
because, I've been to Japan so much and I had musicians over there who introduced me to this very famous song, Ringo Oiwake. And yeah, it's a beautiful song. And it was sung by a very popular pop singer, older pop singer. But Herbie Hancock had taken it and made it into a jazz song. And it's quite beautiful. It's very beautiful. And yeah, um,
It's
so I don't know.
so interesting, like all this uh, traditional Filipino music, and I don't know if it's only me, but I feel that the jazz community are just more open to folk music. That's how I feel because um, they're more open into that I think than other fans of other music. Or maybe that's just my misconception, but that's how I feel. Like world music is very kind of more closely tied to jazz, kind of, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is. I'm not sure why. I mean, I could come up with a few ideas, but I don't know that they're real. I mean, one thing is that you know how Duke Ellington said good music is good music, no matter
Mm.
what it is, right? Um, so, but ethnic music, I think, tends to be really from the heart. It's not it's not so analytical, it's not like, okay, which chords am I putting down? It's not that kind of thing. It's more just direct. I don't know that that's really the reason or the only reason, but I mean, I've written some very folky songs that like Josh Nelson and Larry Kuntz made into beautiful music by applying their jazz expertise to, So, I mean, and then there's people like Sting, who I love, who write simple music,
Mm.
but it's very heart created, right? Created from the heart. And so, yeah, I think I'm not sure I've noticed the kind of direct folk music to jazz thing. Maybe it's you who's bringing that music, and that's why you're having a good experience with it. It's actually you, right?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe because I think we got my group and I, when we were kind of really touring a lot, we got a lot of opportunities to bring this music to different countries,
Uh,
and I think that's what it is. I think we people are generally excited to learn about other people's culture, whether it's food or sound or art. And I think that's just so beautiful to have that, open-heartedness to other
yeah,
people's offerings.
yeah, it is really beautiful. Um, sorry, Roland was mentioning a song that I wrote that was, it's kind of a nod to Japan. Actually, you know, to what I think is a past life in Japan. So I had written that song. And yeah,
I actually wanna take note of that and listen to it. Can that be um is that online somewhere?
yes, it is. Let me find, I'll just find the, it's called Miko Oiwa Ke,
Hmm.
and
What does that mean?
it means apple flower.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so I'll send you the link.
That'll be great. Thank you.
Yeah, let's
I
see.
appreciate that. Oh my goodness. So at the Jazz Summit, so maybe using Japanese, um,
That'd be great, right?
I sing some Filipino, Mon can sing his Kapampangan, Rachel will sing the English.
Yeah, that would be fun. And actually, it would, I mean, it would be nice to, if we can share some music together, some songs together. We were thinking of doing something unique, not just having somebody get up and sing a bunch of songs. Okay, next one, but actually having kind of a shared experience. So maybe we can do that.
That would be wonderful to have
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
In fact,
Let's,
June 1, the next day is my birthday. So I said,
ah,
oh, it's wonderful to start my birthday with a musical event, different languages. I think that will be beautiful. I'm excited.
okay.
Yeah.
Now this is funny to me. So,
Yes.
what's funny to me is my birthday's May 28th.
Oh, no kidding.
So we're both Geminis,
Gemini.
and
And we're
obviously
wearing pink today.
we're both wearing pink, and we're also there's a flow that we share, which is I'm sure in our horoscope somewhere. But what was funny over the years is that seriously, sometimes I would show up somewhere like I was meeting somebody, and we'd be wearing exactly the same kind of clothes, and they shared my birthday.
No kidding.
Yeah, so so
I'm
people.
actually getting chills. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
I'm learning. I love this hang. I'm glad that it's, relaxed and because I wasn't sure what we were going to talk about. And I said, "Oh,
I
should I prepare for this hang?"
I know people are always like saying that, and I'm like, don't worry, it's so casual. I think that's why I like it, and I think that's why people have liked it over the years because it's not your typical, okay, I did this and this and this and this. Although it's
Right,
nice to know that, but it's still, like I said before, I'm interested in your point of view on
right,
life and whatever. That's what to me is valuable. Everybody can listen and they can go, I think like that too, or oh, that's interesting, or it's it's a human lesson. It's great, right?
right. And we can Google all our bio and all
Yeah,
that stuff online, and
yeah.
but you can't really know. There's something about yeah, learning about how the person thinks and the perspective on different aspects of life. Yeah, I agree with you. It's so valuable. Um, and you would never know that you're also a Gemini, and and we probably have read the same book sometime.
Probably. Well, there is a similar flow that we have, don't you think? Where there's an energy that's kind of
I
similar.
think
It's
so.
like kind of
There's
like this. Yeah.
yeah.
So that just makes that's
I know it's kind of like this. I love the rhythm. Oh gosh. Oh,
uh,
will you send me that link, Kathy? Listen to that. You're encouraging me, inspiring me to watch live music this weekend. Hopefully I'll have some time to do it. Um, Yeah, just live music.
Yeah.
How you
Oh, yeah.
mentioned it, that's so healing for you and
There's so much live music going on in LA now. Oh my God. There's so much great music, even amongst all this, craziness of what's happened in LA. Like, actually, I started doing a steady Saturday breakfast job in Santa Monica
oh
at
wow.
Jinkies down at Second and Broadway. And tomorrow, so from 9:30 to 1, it'll be Dori Amarillo on guitar and Joey De Leon on percussion.
Oh,
So,
so 9 to 1. Okay. I have that.
yeah.
Okay.
And so, and the owner, I mean, the businesses in Santa Monica, I'll just say a little bit about this because it's kind of shocking. So here's one aspect that's terrible. Besides, most of his clientele came from Pacific Palisades. So tour buses before the fire were dropping off 1,500 tourists a week.
Wow.
And now, and that was 40 buses. And now there's 6 buses once a week.
Oh,
And the 40 buses were coming every day. So, I mean, that's,
wow.
it's hard to
It's very
fathom.
huge discrepancy.
Yeah. So
Fine.
this guy is so sweet and he's really trying to remain open and he feels that, in a few months, over the next 3 or 4 or 5 months, business will change and pick up more. But I mean, he's really going out of his way to support the community, and I'm trying to help in the ways that I can, and but yeah, I mean, besides, yeah, and then next week I'm doing a fundraiser in Gardena
Oh,
with this producer Kevin Rhodes next Thursday night, and then just Sam First and the Baked Potato and the 1881 and on and on. I mean, there's so much music going on. The Broad. I mean, really, there's a lot of really cool things that are happening, right?
a lot of things. I need to start listening to and taking note of that. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for telling me all of those things. I've been invited to a lot of things lately as well and
Uh,
have attended as much as I can.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's so alive right now. That's really great. Really great to hear.
It is. And then this year is going to be, which I also, I'm also trying to contribute to and get a kind of a head start on. But there's the Blue Note is coming to LA, and they're even taking over the Hollywood Bowl for the Jazz Festival. It's going to be the Blue Note Jazz Festival.
Wow.
And then the Blue Whale is going to reopen in probably August.
So
And
wonderful.
yeah, so I feel like there's, going to be more jazz. I've been jumping on board to help with the Angel City Jazz Festival, like getting them more into mainstream PR. They're a creative music festival, but it's great music. And if you're into jazz, it's really worthwhile to see these different evenings of that festival. Wonderful, just wonderful.
Right. Yeah, we've got a lot of their shows.
Yeah.
Um, but the Blue Note is exciting and Blue Whale, caught a lot of shows there. I may have done a couple of shows there as well. Yeah, I'm so glad that they're going to be back. June. That is exciting. And then Blue Note, oh my goodness, a resurgence after the pandemic. Yeah,
Awesome.
the jazz in LA is thriving. It's going to
Yeah.
thrive again. It's really,
Yeah.
really something much needed here.
It really is, and it's great. I mean, LA really is a location for a lot of jazz. I mean, we have an abundance of great musicians here, and I mean, New York is New York. There's nothing like New York, but still, LA has a lot going on and it should be better known for a jazz theme. You know what I mean?
Mm. No, it's true. I mean, we have a lot of jazz, really great jazz musicians who are local to LA.
Yeah,
So we are
I
very,
know.
very, very rich. Woo!
Yeah, we are. Let's see. Taylor did, this is one of Taylor's questions. He's a
Mhm.
good question asker. Both of you, I'm sure, may have similar answers, but in your reflections, being in the present moment, is it always challenging to remind yourself that progress requires patience?
Yeah, it's
No,
so true.
it's so easy,
It's
Taylor.
so easy. I think yeah, yeah. I think it's a lifelong process. Just like the vocal technique is a lifelong process. The idea is for it to become a habit and not thinking about it. I practice every day, mindfulness. Yeah, even right now, I'm practicing it. So it's not just a practice, that I practice 10 minutes during the morning or before I go to bed. Although it would be good if I'm consistent to that. But I do it now outside those times. Um, yeah, but I find it so valuable, but it takes a lot of time, lifelong work.
You know, it's funny, when I was a kid, um, I grew up in a pretty small house, and my room was really small. It was, you walked in, there was a little pathway to the window. On the right side, next to the pathway, was my bed and my desk. And then on the left, down by the window, was my bureau. And that was it. That was my room. So, but I would go in there every night when I was like I'm not sure. It might have been elementary school. I can't remember if it was elementary or junior high. And I had scheduled everything. So I'd schedule everything like for a half hour, English, half hour, and that was it. And I stuck to it and I did really well with that. That was probably, I think I've always wanted to get back to that, scheduling, because, and when I go out of town, I have these grand ideas of how I'm going to schedule my time when I come back, and it never quite happens. If you don't actually do that, you're more prone for what comes up. And so, you're doing this, and unless it's absolutely crucial that you're doing it, you might go, "Oh, yeah, this has come in to my awareness, so I have to do that." Even with lessons, I remember I used to just tell students, "I only teach on Tuesdays and Thursdays or whatever," and they would adjust their time. But then I kind of fell away from that, and then it's like, "Well, when can you come over?"
Mm.
But
Right.
that changes your time. And the progress, that's when I probably lose my patience the most, I would say, I mean, progress in a kind of a spiritual point of view is no problem for me. You know, it's not it's not the ending point that I'm necessarily that intrigued with. I mean, I am, but I like being in the progress of it, or the process. But when I think probably the most um, frustrating is that I have all these ideas, I have certain things that I'm doing, and going through them and finishing them or putting time into them is, I mean, that's everybody probably, but that for me is my most frustrating thing ever. That's it, man.
Wow. That's really admirable that you strive for that. Um, Kathy, I'm I strive for the 10-10 where I wake up, I go outside, get some sun for circadian rhythm, for our sleep pattern, and I meditate, and then 10 minutes I exercise or movement, whatever and 10 is something that will move the needle towards your goal. It's an evidence base that the first, what did they say? The first 2 hours of wake time is like the most productive for us, and the brain is the most productive. So I try to apply that in my life. Um, I try. That's a good word. At least that's trying. But leaving room also for magic, I think. Kathy, leaving room for magic. I don't know why when you were talking, it reminded me of Ernie Watts.
Mm.
I'm gonna
He's
share
very
something with you.
philosophical.
Yeah, I think it's because we've done some shows, and when you were talking, it reminded me of him because when you said something about if you don't write it down, or I think it reminded me of discipline when you said that, and when that word came into my head, it reminded me of him because we were doing a show. I forgot, it's maybe Blue Whale or something. He was there 2 hours before, already warming up. And Lawrence, at one point, we were doing some shows with him. Lawrence Hopgood said, "Oh, he's always like this. He comes 1 hour and 2 hours and warms up, so that when he hits the stage, he's already warmed up." And I said, "Oh my gosh, that is discipline right there. I could definitely learn from that." That kind of intensity of practice and intention. So I got inspired by that. If anyone can, if Ernie, hey Ernie, if you're watching this, you're so inspiring. That's so inspiring. And when you said that, I said, oh yeah, that's right. The discipline. It just reminded me of that. So I kind of wanted to share. I hope Taylor can benefit from that
Yeah.
story.
And Ernie, so let's see, I'm just looking for,
Did you
um,
interview him already?
I,
Maybe.
I did.
I think I
And
saw that even. A little bit of it, I
yeah,
think.
you might have been there. I'm just looking for, where did I put my, um, where did I put my, oh, here we go. Um, yeah, Ernie Watts was, uh, May 9th, 2022. And yeah, that was a really good interview. That was another interview that I really liked and surprised me because a lot of these people I know for years, but I don't sit and talk to them for 2 hours,
Wow.
and that was a surprising interview. He was so philosophical, you know. It was great, really great. I don't know why. I mean, you just don't necessarily think somebody is philosophical just out of the blue. But yeah, that was a really good one. Good interview.
Oh, I'm looking forward. Yeah, I think I caught a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so right. It's kind of philosophical. So that's why I'm thinking 2 hours. Wow, what are we going to talk about? And now I see why you save this much time. It's like leaving room for what can happen,
Yeah.
the discussion. It's kind of like mystical, Kathy. I always wait, I think I saw you at one point at a place in Studio City. It's not Sportsman Lodge. It has like Cafe del Sol. I remember there's like a
How del
star.
Sol.
Yeah, I remember. Did they close already? I remember that. I like that restaurant. I think you were singing there. And
Yeah,
we
I
had
was. I
that
actually
meal.
sang and booked it for about 4 years.
Yeah.
And they're not close. They're still there. It's right
Oh,
where
there's that. Thank goodness.
Lancashire and Vineland meet.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're
Yep.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember coming there and just reminds me of that. I said, "Oh, that place is a little." I love their decor a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, I was so sad they changed it. That was an amazing room that
I agree.
like people came and listened. They filled up that lounge. There were chairs and there were cushioned seating and there were some nights that not nobody was talking at all, just listening. And then, they wanted to get more hip. So they took that out, they opened it up, they they took out the live music. They just kind of made it so they could have people hanging out and waiting for the tables and,
Oh,
which is really too bad because it was just such a great location for that.
that's a great location. Right. I
Yeah.
haven't been there in a while. Maybe because they took out the live music.
They still actually have some of the same menu. It's really a good restaurant.
It is a
Yeah.
restaurant.
I
Yeah.
really like going there actually. Yeah. Let's I mean it's nice to be able to hear hear you. I'm gonna share the screen again. And so let's see. Now I could also go to um your this area. Does this have
I think that's more, I think this is created by YouTube, so I didn't create this one.
oh, okay.
So let's see, what can we listen to? Um, this is more, well, how about Flo? You want to hear a little bit? Oh, how about this one? Lahat ng Araw, which is I think yeah, this one even is speaking of or whatever you wish actually.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you wish, Kathy.
Fine, that's
You are
fine.
the mistress of this. So lahat ng araw, all of my days in Tagalog.
Okay.
And this is featured icon.
Sa bawat sandali, tayo ay magkapiling. Sa bawat lungkati, pakinggan ang hiling. Ang puso ko't budhi ay hindi sinungaling. Sana ay ulinigin, damdamin ko kilig. Asahan, pangarap nitong buhay, lahat ng araw kita'y mamahalin. Iwasan ang iyong anilangan, lahat ng araw kita'y mamahalin. Sa labing ng imbing kamatayan, itanging yaring pagmamahal. Tulutang magtapat sa'yo hirang, lahat ng araw kita'y mamahalin. Lahat ng araw.
Oh, it also reminds me of Hawaiian music.
Yes.
You are
Yeah.
using apple cider vinegar, the raw.
Very, very similar sound. The vowels, right? I think the vowels are just open.
Yeah, and even the or Oaxaca or so, I can't I'm sure I don't know the language, but it actually has Lahawakawa, that kind of
Yes, it's
action,
true.
Uh,
In fact, Abe, whom you know as well, is Hawaiian Filipino. And the dancing, and a lot of hands, and it's
Yeah,
similar. It's just yeah, that piece is All of My Days, and again it's Harana, a serenade that we, you know, put more rhythm into it, a little bit more kind of like a yeah, yeah, a little bit more rhythmic than the traditional Harana rhythm, which is
yeah,
just guitar and voice actually.
yeah, it's beautiful, really beautiful.
Thank
It's
you.
very earthy.
I like that word, earthy. Yes. You feel like you just want to remove your socks and be barefoot on the ground and just kind of dance, like black and white, just kind of on the patio and listening, drinking something nice, that kind of
Yeah.
music. Yeah.
When you started doing jazz, were you were you enamored with any particular jazz artist? Was it vocalists or was it any other artists?
Uh, my mom and dad exposed me to so jazz in the Philippines was the popular music.
Oh,
The standards like so I was listening to Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan back then in the Philippines, and many others. When I when we migrated here, I really got into Sarah Vaughan and then Shirley Horn a lot. I had to stop listening to Sarah Vaughan at one point because I was just copying her licks. It was so, I was just so enamored by her that I was just copying her licks, and I said, it's never gonna work. So don't just stop. I literally, Kathy, kid you not, I stopped listening for 1 year because I love the lowness of her voice so much, and I have an alto voice, so it was easy for me to go there and copy her. So I stopped. So I went to Shirley Horn very deeply, all of her music. But I also love, Duke Ellington's work and so many other instrumentalists. I try to listen, and of course, our local artists. We have so many great local artists here. We at one point, my husband and I were watching 3 or 4 live shows every day for 10 years,
oh wow.
just to support, but also just for ourselves, just for the soul. So many great music that come to Los Angeles. So Shirley Horn, Duke Ellington, Keith Jarrett is one of my favorite. Also,
Yeah.
his music. All the greats, Billie Holiday, but mainly Shirley Horn, Ella, and Sarah Vaughan are the main ones. More vocalists, and then some instrumentalists.
Yeah. Yeah, Shirley Horn and well, Carmen too.
Oh yeah.
I think they're, talk about phrasing and the bravery of their phrasing. I mean, they may not think about it as being brave, but to me, it's brave. It's like you make each word mean something, and you don't mind if there are big spaces. If you're continually thinking, that's Carmen is really amazing to me because she can do that. She makes every single word count, and even if she takes a big pause, you're still with her with the story because that's where she is. She's not, it's not rote, you know what I mean? It's not just like well, someone to watch over me. I always notice, students, although he may not be the man, that part. And it's
Yes.
like, oh my God, do not do that. That's an important part to phrase. It's
Mm.
not wrote like that. But Carmen could make pauses and it didn't matter because she was so committed and connected to the story that you stayed with her, you know? And so yeah, and then Shirley Horn, I remember I've said this on this show before, but there was the song she did In the Dark. Are you
Ah,
familiar with her
mhm.
version of that? And
Yes.
so I was all alone in my music room just listening and and the time was real slow, right? And then she said, "In the dark, in the dark," right? And
Yeah.
during that time, I started blushing all by myself because I started thinking of what was happening in the dark.
Oh,
That's
wow.
space.
That's a
I mean,
great point. Ah,
you
I
know,
love that.
I mean, space is so important, and that's one of those things that is a similar lesson in jazz and in life and in technique. I mean, space. There's that listening, that being there, that, it's important. It's hugely important in anything you do, right?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, the listening,
Yeah.
spaces. Yeah, I agree, Carmen, and you're right. She would phrase something, and you're okay with it.
Yeah.
You don't lose her. She doesn't lose us, the audience. And Shirley is a master at that as well. Like you said, you're right. I was laughing because you're right. That's true. uh, her estate, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
And Keith Jarrett also has a
Oh,
version of he also loves spaces, and then he can fill up the spaces, of course, like no other can. I got to watch Shirley live at the tail end of her life, and then I think she passed away. Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel.
I was there.
Were you there at that show?
Yes.
No kidding. She was. Were you? I'm freaking out right now. Were you at that show? She came in with a little scooter. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was amazing. I
That
mean,
was amazing.
to hear her live was really effective. It
You
was
were
like,
there. And she passed away, I believe, 2 years after or
and
after that show.
I met, um, God, I'm trying to think of his name. He arranged one of her famous records, albums, Johnny Mandel.
Oh, yeah.
It was Johnny Mandel. Wait, let me just look at that. Did
Is it
Johnny,
Johnny Medina? I'm not sure.
I think it was Johnny Mandel. Johnny Mandel. Sorry. I gotta know what I'm talking about. Johnny Mandel arrangement for uh, Shirley Horn. Is that it? Yeah, yeah. He did the whole like Here's to Life record.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, so I actually was hanging out at a California Jazz Foundation party, and he was there. And he told me that, let's see, he told me, yeah, so he had her sing how she was going to sing the song, like record, just, a little recording of how she sang the song with the band. And that's what he arranged off of. He
Wow.
actually literally wrote down every note of what she played and sang.
Wow.
literally, and then built the arrangement from there.
Wow.
Crazy, huh?
Wow. No, that's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think I agree with you. It's so courageous to do that because as a singer growing up, singing pop song and R&B song, we
Yeah.
we tend to fill up the spaces a lot. That's how I grew up, part of an R&B group here in
Yeah.
LA, you know. We fill up the spaces with whatever, ooh, all that stuff. And then I came across Shirley and literally she made me cry. The Here's to Life version is one of them, Estate,
Yeah.
where it just I said, wait, when is she gonna come in? The first time you hear it, the version, when is she actually going to come in? You're just listening, and I said, okay. Uh, and so no, yeah. And then who else? Muses, Shirley, and then I also adore Rhiannon.
Rhiannon, the jazz
Yeah.
Rhiannon or the
Yeah,
pop
you
Rhiannon?
Rhiannon. Oh, that's right. The jazz. I think did you organize one of her workshops before? I
Yeah.
think you did,
Several
right?
times. Yeah,
Several
several
times.
times.
I tend to come whenever she would do those things. Oh yeah, that's right. You did at one beautiful house. My gosh, that was just so exciting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, she also did a few workshop or one workshop, or maybe it was one workshop at the Blue Whale. Maybe you were there,
Yeah,
actually.
I was there too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I tend to come whenever she's in because it's so rare that she's here.
Yeah, have you seen her vocal well? The well?
Is that is that a DVD or a video
No,
or
it's on. You can join the group, and I think it's I think
oh,
I'm
I think somebody told me. I think one from the your group
Birds.
told me about that.
Yeah, there's like
Rhiannon?
yeah, I'll share this with you.
Oh, thank
This
you.
it's it's so it's a group of I I'm not sure if she created it. She might have created it or her supporters created it. And it's called The Well. I contribute like a little $3 a month to it or something. And then there's so all these people come on Zoom and she comes on. This particular time, you'll see it's really nice. She's there and she's saying such cool stuff, and she's cool. She's
It's
really
very cool.
yeah.
I, at one point, and we were talking about, enamored of, and she sang at the 8 BAP in New York, and I was there during that time, and she was in one of the big rooms. I think she was main one. Sheila Jordan was one of the singers as well that they featured that time, and she was doing it, and you could tell you know how she of course improvises, and she was talking about the jazz greats like Shirley Horn, Ella Fitzgerald, and I mean you can see everyone was just crying because of just the way she brought the community together. um and I think yeah, again, I think I'm in a very philosophical state at the moment. I hope you don't mind. Just again, we're talking about community. It's just so important, like jazz and community, and especially after experiencing a scare of wildfire in LA, to know that there's a strong community here in LA. Um, I tangent. I went back there. What you were saying, Kathy? You were talking about well. Go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah, yeah. No, actually, there was one workshop that I created for Rhiannon and Jay Clayton. You said the word Jay, so the name Jay, so I don't know if you were going for Jay
Yes.
Clayton.
Did I go? And maybe I always go whenever. Yeah,
Maybe
I
you were
think
there. It was at the LA College of Music in Pasadena.
I may have gone to that because
Yeah,
yeah, I think so. I think I went to that one as well.
yeah. I even have some old video from that, and that was really cool. It was because they're both, queens of improvisation, and I mean Jay and Sheila actually started. They actually had a hand in starting lofts in New York City, like way back.
We got
So
cut off. What was the laugh? A hand and
they had a major hand in starting jazz lofts in
oh wow.
New York City, which is funny. It's like, yep, give it to the singers, they'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, we always do stuff like that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sheila Jordan, I remember. I think one of the you may have hosted this as well. She did a workshop in LA. And I remember her saying, "Oh yeah, if you don't have anything to say, leave the space. Leave the space." And you take notes. I was young, I even bring my notebook to this workshop and take notes. I'm like, if you don't have anything to say, don't just leave the space. Let the instrumentalists do their thing. Just little pearls that you get from all this muses that we listen to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure your students feel that about you, Kathy.
They would?
I'm sure your students feel that about you. They have all the pearls that you have that you share
Hopefully.
to them. Oh, I'm sure.
Hopefully. I like students like that, who a few years ago I remade my website to just more reflect me as a philosophical and spiritual human, so that, that would be the kind of students that I would get. And it worked actually quite well. Because it doesn't really intrigue me to teach people who are not looking for a life lesson, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. So it worked really well for that. I was just thinking, I had somebody show up recently who was referred to me in a different way, and I was trying to get that across to her, like without making her wrong for what she wanted or other people wrong for what they taught. I just said, this is what I teach. So if you want this,
Mm.
then you should come back to me. But if not, if you want that, I think that there are teachers out there who actually teach that well, because I just don't, my time's too valuable. I don't want to give myself kind of a pain.
Right. And I think it's also very courageous for you and open-hearted to be that way because I'm learning we are not a teacher to everyone or a healer to everyone and by saying that, okay, this is who I am, and also just being true to yourself, being true to who you are as a teacher, educator, and then and being okay with it. Again, it's just like being
Yeah,
okay with whom you are. Um,
yeah,
I think that's really brave, as opposed to compromising um, your style or your philosophy as an educator.
yeah. And there was probably a time for that, when I was younger and I was just making a living off of, the very basic music stuff that I could do. And, I had more energy and, just didn't really, it wasn't that important to me as it is now to be more of just myself, and more what I enjoy being And that way I can give people, I think, something more valuable, you know? And I mean, over the years, I always heard people, teachers, they were giving permission to join their studio. And I always noticed that. It's like, oh, you're giving permission for somebody to join your studio. That's a different thing than just saying, yeah, sure, everybody can come. No,
Right.
it's like, let me see who you are. And,
Right.
we'll see if that, coordinates. You know what I mean?
It also comes with lived experience, though, I think. I think that comes with a lot of seasoning and live experience to
Yeah,
be able to do that, I think.
yeah,
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 because for sure, younger years, I also sang songs that to please people
yeah,
and to looking at the market or sing in a way that would thinking about the audience as opposed to maybe what the song needs to be. Okay, that's a different topic. That will take another 2 hours.
probably.
Thinking from a place of intention or how maybe the composer or how it's supposed to come out, how it's supposed to be expressed singing the song itself. Yeah. My
Yeah.
goodness.
On one last comment, Roland said he had a guitar friend in Queens College who played for Carmen McRae, and he said she was a very tough, demanding person to work for, and it was the best experience of his musical life. And yeah, I knew people too who worked for her and various stories. In fact, one time I saw her at the Parisian Room, which was an old jazz club in LA, and I was there was hardly anyone in there except me and maybe
Wow.
one or two other people. And
Wow.
she literally pushed the piano player off the bench and sat down and played because she didn't like what he was playing. And I was very young. I was like 21 or something, and I was like,
Oh, wow.
wow, she did that. Oh my
You
God.
did that.
Oh,
Oh, wow. Gosh, yeah. That, that's
um, okay, Charmaine. So I'm really glad we hung out here and for various reasons, but also just, to kind of connect before we really get into the motion of creating this our jazz summit, our Tokyo
June
Manila
1st, June
LA
1st.
Jazz Summit.
Yeah. Thank you.
And yeah, thanks for giving me the time, and coming on for 2 hours. It's quite a commitment. Thank you.
And I understand now why you require 2 hours. Thank you for having me, Kathy. This is just so lovely. I appreciate, yeah.
Oh, I
Love what
appreciate
you're doing and thank you
it.
for this.
And ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, first of all, tomorrow, if you want to come down to Santa Monica, I'm singing 9:30 to 1 at
One.
Jinky's Breakfast, Second and Broadway, which is great. And it's going to be Dori Amarillo and Joey De Leon on percussion. It's going to be really fun. And then next week, on Monday, I'm interviewing Dan Radlauer, who's a really great, he's got a big band. He's done a lot. He lives actually in LA, and he's very talented and hardworking human. So that's who's on Monday. And, you know, on and on. Is there anything that you want to tell people about your performances upcoming? You mentioned San Francisco.
San Francisco, March 5 at the Oakland Asian Cultural Center, and March 7 at the Brava Theater in San Francisco. And then June 1 and many other stuff, I think.
Okay.
See
All
you
right.
out there at the shows.
Yeah.
LA folks, see you out there.
Yeah. All right. Listen, have a great rest of the day and weekend.
You too. Thank you for having me. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. One more thing for those of you in LA who want to scat, I am having a 6-hour scat workshop on Sunday. this Sunday with a great piano player who's coming in from Berlin. He used to live here, Louis Dora. He's really a good player, and he's really supportive and into helping singers scat. So let me know if you're interested in coming. It's not that expensive, and it's 6 hours. You're gonna scat by the time you leave, I guarantee it.